Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Igneo Studios. I'm here with Trevor and Grayson, and we just finished reading, actually a few hours ago, we just finished reading the second deluxe volume of Berserk. It's going to be right here. Please listen in the comments if you like having a little representative in the center. But we thought it was a little funny to do, having a little representative, so it's not just us guys sitting with stuff in the background. Yeah. So, again, we just finished this a few hours ago. Grayson here wanted to do the review with us, but he had to go to work for a bit. And yeah, it gave me time to reread some of this, more like skim through it in the span of a couple hours, because this was probably going to take too long. But I digress. And like our last video, this might be a little long, so bear with us.
Yeah, there's a lot of content within these. There are 3 volumes in one.
As we said in our last Berserk video, and I said as well as on my One Piece review, we're collecting the big guys, so it's just easier to read. And plus, look how beautiful these look. You got the cool
leather bounds.
You got this cool. You got the cool brand of sacrifice. You got this cool symbol. It just looks amazing. Yeah. So there's a lot to cover in this one, especially in this volume in particular. This volume covers the first
third, I'd say.
First third of the Golden Age arc, which is considered to be one of the most popular and, I'm not going to say beloved, but...
It is one of the most beloved. That's definitely, as a fan of Berserk, longtime fan, it's considered to be the pinnacle of Berserk. I have disagreements about that personally, along with a couple of other content creators. But we'll
probably talk about when we get more into our big collection here.
Which is now up to volume 12.
This will be Grayson's going to be mainly our fact checker, as with our Vinland Saga review, because we've seen it like 20 times or whatever, and it was our first time. So this is going to be mainly me and Trevor giving our thoughts, and we'll go over the plot as best we can, manga form. It's different than reviewing an anime compared to
Now, we did see the movies.
Brief thing I want to disclose is this wasn't anything really new to us.
There were some new components for them because the movies cut out a good chunk of content. And sadly to say, I still like the movies for what they are, and now they're in an episodic memorial edition, which is still good, and they add some scenes, especially one of my favorite scenes, which is they did not get to here, but the Campfire of Dreams. But they do cut a lot of content, especially character development content. And they're still good for what they are. And they're like a good way to get into the manga. Because currently, the manga is still the best way to absorb Berserk.
Yeah, so we'll still go over like the parts that we saw in the movies,
because they are obviously in this.
Well, I believe we'll mostly be talking about the ones that were cut.
Oh yeah,
we'll definitely mention it. So I guess this is kind of like a weird also movie review of the Golden Age.
Plus the manga gives a bit more context.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot more.
So it's not really anything new to us, but from reading it into the manga, we definitely see the extra stuff that was cut out and kind of drags it down. Not the manga, but the movies kind of get dragged down because of the lack of content.
Yeah.
I digress. So again, this is the good third of the Golden Age arc. Again, one of the most beloved arcs.
Yeah.
And it starts off very strong, and by strong I mean pretty brutal. Disclaimer. As with our last review, this is a very strict warning. This is a manga. If you didn't watch the previous one, we will reiterate this as many times as possible.
Especially when we get to a certain part.
This is a very, very, very adult manga series.
It is not meant for the lighthearted.
It is one of the bleakest stories with a tinge of hope, and definitely one of the more viewer discretion advised series because of the content it delves into. And it delves into sexual assault, murder, just a whole slew of things.
A lot of adult themes. So if you're watching this, discretion, we will be a little blunt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
especially because of how this first opens up. And actually, we will be talking about the last, quarter, no, not even quarter, last, eighth of Volume 1, because Golden Age starts at the end of Deluxe Volume 1 because of how it was in the actual small volumes format. And that leads into this one.
So, just to briefly, come in, if you remember our last one, it ended with the Black Swordsman arc coming to a close, Guts being the edgy hero. We see more of his character at the end of it, and then the Golden Age arc happens, and it actually it's covering his entire childhood up until the Black Swordsman arc. That's the entire Golden Age arc.
It is a massive backstory.
It is probably
Flashback.
the biggest backstory ever put in literature in manga.
It ranges from the ending, the ending quarter/half of Volume 3 in the volume format, all the way to about Volume 15 of the manga, of the standard edition mangas.
For these guys, it's about Volume 5.
About Volume 5 of these guys is when it ends. It starts at the ending of Volume 1 and goes all the way till, I think, the beginning of Volume 6, if I remember correctly.
So it is a massive arc. So you can see why we're not doing this arc-wise, because this would be taking forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll do this volume-wise for videos.
Yeah.
Just to get that out of the way, we can talk about the beginning of the arc at least, and from the first volume.
Yeah.
We get introduced to Guts being born from. I can't even get it to show you guys because of how brutal especially in how this volume starts out. I cannot open this to show you because of how bad it is.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna say it. He is born from his mother's dead corpse. Not just hanging wise.
Yeah. Hanging from a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's not. Yeah. If you wanna click off this video, we completely understand.
Yeah, Berserk is not for everyone. It is considered to be a masterpiece by many who have read it, but it is not meant for every single person because of the content it delves into.
So, yeah, if you click off this video, we completely understand. Yeah. We will not judge you for it. If you wish to read this on your own time, please do so. To get your own opinion on it. But if you want to stick around with us, please do.
Sure. Now,
but we'll get back into it. Let's get back into it. Guts is born from the hanging corpse of his mother, and he is lucky enough to give a healthy cry out to a traveling band of mercenaries led by a man named Gambino. And they find a infant Guts, and they think he's an ill omen because he's the only thing living amongst this death, He is adopted by the camp whore. I'll be bleak about it. The camp whore named Sis, and after 3 years, she dies from the plague.
Yep.
If you think we're just getting started,
we're just getting started
because there's a lot to cover. We'll briefly go over Guts' childhood, and that's when the actual meat of this arc really hits. Starts kicking in, and we'll probably be able to show you just a couple things from the Golden Age arc.
Yeah. So if you couldn't tell right off from the bat of Guts' birth, he was birthed into a life that he quote unquote was not meant to live.
And before you ask, yes, he has probably the darkest backstory known to ever exist.
Oh yeah, especially something we will mention here in probably 2 minutes.
After the 3 years, Sis, that adopted Guts, dies of the plague, and Guts starts following Gambino, the leader, as a surrogate father, even though Gambino doesn't really care for him because he's that kind of character. He spent his life. Guts spends his childhood constantly abused, belittled, and fighting. He's not even given a short sword for fighting
or a dagger
because he needs to earn his keep, despite him being 6 years old. So he starts training with a legitimate broadsword, which is the size of a greatsword to him, and that's how he trains at 6 years old.
Which is how it can be explained, at least briefly, on why Guts wields such a massive sword later on in the Black Swordsman arc.
Yeah, which we'll get into. again, Guts spent and some of the mercenaries of Gambino's band do like Guts because he's a kid. They go a little easy on him, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Gambino's the main one that basically just constantly belittles him, with the occasional go, that's fine.
Yeah, especially with one particular scene where Guts and Gambino are training, and Guts actually pushes Gambino back, and Gambino lashes out at him, leaving the
classic scar on his nose.
And after that scene, Gambino feels somewhat bad, and he gives Guts some medicine that he puts on the wound, and that to Guts is enough to make him still try to adhere to this man.
And about 3 years later, about the age of 9, Guts kills his first man on the battlefield. Just like, I'm not gonna say classic, but I'll use that classic, abused, neglected type story where they go through a terrible childhood and they become a student of war at a very young age. Yep. And one of this particular nights that they're done fighting, Guts is ambushed by a member of the band, of Gambino's band, and assaulted.
Yeah.
Sexually.
In the no way.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say it, but he's assaulted in the no way, and this guy says that Gambino paid me 3 silver coins.
He paid Gambino.
Yeah, he paid Gambino's 3 silver coins for the night, and Guts is mortified at that.
Yeah.
It is not until and after that, the next day on the battlefield, Guts corners this dude, kills him.
Yep, showing that Guts is more than willing to fight against the world he is in.
Yeah, and
so he's not just some character to be belittled and smushed down upon through the story, because he is just as brutal as the story is to him.
And if you actually look at it, because of this experience, if you notice we talked about in the Deluxe Volume 1, Guts does not like being touched, and this basically explains it.
Yes.
And during one of the battles, after he takes out this guy, Gambino and his crew are they lose. Gambino loses a leg because they were attacked by cannons. Am I right?
Yeah.
He loses his leg from a cannon. He can't fight anymore. Mm-hmm. He's stuck in a tent or on a chair chilling. Because, first of all, that's got to be demoralizing for any warrior.
Especially for being a commander of not a massive mercenary group, but a decent-sized one that you take hold of and you command.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of humiliating.
A little bit, because you're the commander of this group, and now you can't even go to battle with them anymore.
Yeah, imagine how that makes you feel. Mm-hmm. And Guts gets reward because he fights for a living to make money. Gambino's like, okay, cool. Can you get meat for the dog that they have? And it's just one of those things where he's kind of spiraling down a bad thing.
Yeah.
And earlier, Gambino, due to shock, pain, he mistakes Guts for Sis, just talking with her, and Guts is confused that he never talks like this. Yada yada, that kind of stuff where PTSD, not PTSD, where injuries and your mental and your
and how drunk he is too.
And
madness.
Yeah, and it's not until the night that Guts is trying to fall asleep. He's thinking like, I'll make money for Gambino. I'll do what I can because because he's my surrogate father. And he wakes up in the middle of the night to Gambino standing over him with sword in hand. So Gambino,
to put it simply, he's trying to kill Guts.
Tries to kill Guts because he blames him for blames Guts for him losing his leg, for Sis being taken away because of the plague, because he was born under a bunch of death, and he survived. So it's like the whole thing, like he's an ill omen.
He's bad luck.
Yeah, you should never have, he should have died, and that is a very hard thing to hear.
Oh yeah, especially because at that point he is, give or take, probably around 12. ish.
Something like that. Like, yeah, it was 3 years later after that.
Yeah, so he's around 11, 12 years old when he gets told that by his surrogate father, who was never really kind to him anyways.
But it was like the only person he actually could,
look up to in a sense.
And he reveals that he paid the guy from that night. Donovan. We don't talk about Donovan. Okay. That he paid him just to... And that mortifies Guts even further because Guts was in complete denial that his surrogate father would do this to him, and Gambino basically confirms it. He tries to attack Guts. Guts defends himself, and Gambino is killed by self-defense.
And you see Guts is mortified by this because he didn't want to kill Gambino. He reacted on just reflex. He didn't get into a battle with him. He just grabbed his sword and stuck it forward and cut Gambino's neck.
And that kills him. His tent is then set ablaze by accident. The other members of the mercenary band find that Gambino's dead. Guts holding the sword that killed him.
Blood on him. They blame Guts. They chase after him. And they get a crossbow shot on Guts, and he tumbles down. Is attacked by wolves before he fights him. Before Guts fights him off, passes out on the battle into an open field, and then we cut to 3 years later again. There's a lot of 3-year cuts. Everything happens in threes. Yep. So 3 years later, Guts is part of a mercenary band. He becomes a wandering mercenary, going from battlefield to battlefield to gain money, just like anybody would. To just survive.
Just to get money, live about his day, and he takes part in the siege of a castle, and him and his team are stopped by this elite guy named Buzo or something like that who uses Bazuzo who uses an axe. And everyone's like, I don't want to fight him. You want to fight him?
Nope.
You want to fight him?
Nope.
And then Guts pulls up saying, I'll do it.
But he tries to haggle the commander of the army, saying, I'll do it for 10 coins, and then
10 gold coins.
Yeah, 10 gold coins, and then the commander's like, 7.
And no more. And Guts like,
oh my god.
And he gets to do the fight with Bazuzo. It's actually really epic.
It's very well choreographed in the movie.
In the movie and as well in the manga itself, because Kentaro Miura really knows how to choreograph and draw fight scenes. You could definitely see the implications of actual medieval fighting styles. Guts and Bazuzo lock weapons, and it cracks Bazuzo's axe. There's a reason for that. And they get into another swing. Guts narrowly survives because Bazuzo's cracked axe hits his helmet, and the axe shatters. And his axe shatters, and Guts pulls his sword and guts him before hitting him in the head.
Guts him.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yep.
Man, it took me a moment. And all the while, a small group of people are watching him, and who are defending the castle, and they retreat because the castle's done. They don't want to be there. Guts gets his reward. The guy tries to hey, I can make you a knight and stuff. He grabs him by trying hey, hold on, and Guts reacts violently. Well, not too violently, but more verbally violently.
Yeah.
Saying, don't touch me, because that's a big thing. And while Guts is just strolling away, just minding his own business, the same group from before that was watching him ambush him.
They decide to ambush him.
They ambush him, and Guts basically massacres them.
Well, he kills one and injures severely the other.
And he kills one's horse.
Yep.
Yeah,
by literally cleaving its legs. Because, how massive his sword is.
Yep.
And Guts is 16 maybe?
No, he's 15. It's confirmed he's 15 at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 15 years old and he's able to cleave a dude in half. Just by his strength alone. Pardon me. And... he kills one, injures another, and the second command of this mercenary band steps up to fight him. It's a woman named Casca. She starts trying to fight Guts, and Guts starts pushing her back. Everyone's surprised by this because no one has beaten Casca other than their leader.
Yeah.
And as he's about to get the final stroke,
the actual
the alpha of the group named Griffith shows up, and he instantly beats Guts within like
one swing.
Yep. And if I lost my train of thought, damn it. Pulls his helmet. He's very feminine.
Yep, he's very gorgeous.
Let's see if we can find it.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost dead on.
It's like a big reveal in a way.
Yeah, but
like in the aftermath of a fight.
No, it's gonna.
You see like a graceful.
Right.
Angelic type being.
Yeah, right here. If it'll
focus.
darken enough. There we go.
Like that.
Get my water out the way. There we go. Yeah. Griffith is revealed after defeating Guts that he is a very effeminate styled character, and it's kind of a big deal because
we're showing more pages throughout.
We'll show more. Want to at least avoid some of the more messed up stuff.
Yeah.
Although I will also say this arc, besides its climax, has the least amount of grotesque scenes.
Yeah. If you don't remember, Griffith is the guy from the first volume who was part of this demonic god hand. This basically explains how that happened. Yada yada. I say yada yada a lot. I don't know why.
What leads up to it matters a lot more.
Oh yeah.
The climax is where it really happens, but this is not yet.
Not yet.
Guts is taken to their camp, and he's been unconscious for 2 days.
Yep.
And
yeah,
could you do the honors and find their duel? And Guts is revealed by one of the members of the crew that he by crew named Judo.
Yeah.
Sorry, tongue twister
Also,
right there.
Don't forget that.
And Judo reveals that Guts was unconscious for 2 days. Casca, the woman that he defeated earlier, had to basically not really sleep with him, but
like in the literal sense of sleeping with him, like sleeping next to him to keep him warm, is how Judo explains it.
Yes, thank you.
Which apparently is natural and.
It's because he had a fever from his wounds. To keep him warm is how they were defining it, because they could have him next to a fire, but that could be very tedious carrying him around fire to fire. So just have him in a tent with blankets over him and Casca on him, like on his side.
Because if you have a fever, if you know it, you'll have like body chills and whatnot, even though your external temperature will be skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
And Guts is shown around the camp thanks to Griffith,
and you can tell that not everyone doesn't like him.
Oh yeah, because Guts killed one of their friends and literally disarmed the other.
Yeah, so he goes around. Griffith is showing like that they're known as the Band of the Hawk,
and Guts actually knows them.
And yes, we're going over the plot. If you are diehard readers.
You already know.
Yeah, you already know. Excuse us. We're just gonna go over it. We're going over it as best we can.
And we're introduced to a few key members.
A few key members. The one that led the ambush was named Corcus. He's more the I'm not gonna say straight man of the group, but he's kind of like the idiot.
He kind of reminds me of that Sigma male mentality archetype, kinda.
More or less. Judo was once he was a traveling actor.
No, not traveling actor, traveling performer.
Traveling performer, and he's known as he's the knife thrower of the group. Casca is the second in command.
Now we're to Pippin.
And Guts is questioning that all these people are very young, and Griffith just kind of explains that they just do what they can. They're different from a mercenary band normally, and it's until like they get to like a little open field, hilltop, where Guts asks like why'd you
spare me?
Yeah, why'd you spare me, dude? Like why?
And of course,
Griffith gives the reason like I've taken a liking to you. No one fights like you do, and it's interesting how you risk death and life constantly.
Because how Guts fights. Another thing he says earlier in their conversation is that he gives Guts his sword. And he says that this is a sword that I could not wield because of its heft and stuff like that. Story-wise, we'll get into that when we're later down past the Golden Age. but there's actually symbolism behind him saying that as well.
So yeah, and basically, and Griffith asks Guts, "I want you to join my band of the Hawk." And Guts obviously as his character type is hell no. I don't want to join you. You guys basically tried to kill me,
and I killed one of yours.
Your guys, that doesn't really add up. So no. And Griffith's like, well, thing is, I can't let you leave.
So he says,
I want you.
Yeah, he says, I want you. And Guts gives the best comeback. You acting a little gay, dude?
Yeah, are you homo?
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally his line in the manga.
Yeah, are you homo, man?
but of course.
Guts decides, like, all right, how about you shut up and put up?
Mm-hmm. All right, so he challenges him to a duel.
Yeah, he draws his massive sword to Griffith's more.
It's a cutlass type.
Yeah, cutlass type. Basically says, shut up and put up. Mm-hmm. Words aren't gonna do jack. How about we solve this with our blades?
Yeah,
and they right here.
Yep.
May I real quick?
Yep, go for it. That's why I turned to it.
Right here, they post up. Just pay attention to this one and the one on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They post up, ready to throw down.
Well, I do like how Mura sets up the stage a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it has a great drawing of it zoomed out of the battlefield that they're in, and you can definitely see the difference in their fighting styles based on how they stand. Mm-hmm. Guts is a very strong flat-footed stance because of how big his sword is. He needs the stable stance.
And he uses two hands, showing that he'll put a lot of force behind it.
While Griffith is one that shows more finesse.
He prefers more swift and parries and finesse over raw strength. But do not discredit Guts as a incompetent sword fighter because of that. He is actually shown to be a very skilled one. Mm-hmm. And throughout their duel, despite having injuries, he puts up a good fight.
He holds his own.
More or less. And Griffith, this scene in the movie of Golden Age Arc was one of my personal favorites because especially Griffith's lines, like he's constantly parrying and blocking, and he says we could always postpone our duel
until you heal.
Yeah, until you're healed. And Guts basically says, shut up. And they get to probably one of my favorite shots in the movie and also in the manga. And Guts is constantly he hates this guy because of his I'm higher than you mentality and how calm he is based on the circumstance. And Guts before the fight in the movie said one of the best ways ever. We sell this with swords. You could have if I win, I get
to put a hole in you the size of this one.
And what if I win? If you win, you can have me, either my sword or my ass. It's the best. It is the best stakes ever. It's not in the sense of how outlandish that is. Oh, yeah. From Guts' mouth into this. I'm like, that was perfect.
Now,
and everyone wants, and Casca basically tells everyone, don't interfere.
Of course, Cork is being
the impulsive one. He wants to help.
He wants to kill Guts,
and everyone's like, nope. And Casca's like, nope, you can't do it. He pulls her sword on the dude, and Griffith just constantly, and he still wins. Mm-hmm. He's winning. Because, he's better at the swordplay compared to Guts. Guts is no slouch, but compared to Griffith's more honed style. And I'm going to say talent. We'll say talent.
Yeah, because it's something that's never solidified is Griffith training over time.
So, and we get a great scene right here. And Guts gives a massive haymaker, and Griffith shows how light-footed he is from this shot here.
Which is very well done. Yeah. Look at that. Just look at that.
Mura is one of the greatest artists in the manga industry. And it shows, because this is where it really shows his art and how he's started to develop. I would say that the best art is saved for probably Fantasia and Conviction. Conviction for brutality and edge. And edge on the showing and roughness, and Fantasia for its beauty,
and basically, and this is a great showing of how different Guts and Griffith are. Griffith will step above everybody else, whereas Guts will, stand his ground, equal footing.
Yep.
And it's a great scene to show how light-footed he is as a fighter, as well as that. And Griffith continuously, he's not roasting Guts, but he's like, you can't swing your sword like this, man, given my body weight, even though I'm very light-footed and not slicing my feet. Mm-hmm. And Guts literally gives him the best comeback ever. Instead of talking, this is how you use your mouth in a fight.
His words are, "You're a talkative bastard. I'll show you how mouths should be used in a fight."
And this
of course,
man,
this motherfucker, bites a sword.
He puts the sword in his mouth to get an advantage.
Yep, and he bites it so hard it starts making him bleed.
And they get their duel gets more into it. They topple over the hill, and Guts goes fisticuffs.
Yeah, he starts punching the hell out of him, which is surprising to a lot of the Band of the Hawk because Griffith doesn't really get hit much, and that's something very solidified throughout the arc. He doesn't really get hit, and him being put to the ground, and he doesn't lose this fight, but Guts is laying into him. He is punching him and making him bleed.
If you know the context after the Golden Age arc, you cheer.
Oh yeah, you definitely cheer.
But it's really it's cool that Guts this shows that Guts will do anything to get a win in.
Oh yeah, he like Griffith says to him, you fight like your life depends on it. You fight with your life at risk, and you have no care for that.
It's either go big or go home in a way.
And Guts goes for another haymaker or whatever, or any kind of punch. Griffith outmaneuvers and puts him in a hold, and tells Guts, "Surrender, or I will be forced to dislocate your shoulder."
And Guts then tries to say, "Shut up, asshole," type of thing, and Griffith dislocates his arm.
Yeah. Just
pops it out of socket with ease.
And and he grabs his face, saying, "You belong to me." Mm-hmm. Which is not creepy at all,
nor homosexual.
We are not homophobic.
No.
Promise you. But it's a lot of jokes have been made.
Oh yeah, no. Every person has always made jokes in the Berserk community about Griffith wanting Guts.
It's funny.
It is. It's very funny.
It's very funny. And to prove that he is part of the Band of the Hawk, they make an attack on an enemy camp, kind of like classic initiation stuff.
Yeah.
And he is told to mount the rear guard by himself.
Yep.
And defend their entire band from at least 200 people.
It's 2,000.
2,000? Never mind, I was way off.
Yeah, it's 2,000.
I had 2 in there, but that was about it.
Yeah.
2,000. Yeah, 2,000 men. And Guts does it. More or less.
Yeah, he ends up holding them back because throughout this, Guts is realizing how tactical they are and how weird their strategies are because they go through a river to get on the backside, and they infiltrate, and then they full on go through and destroy the enemy camp. And it's out of nowhere because it's in the night that you couldn't hear them because of the water. And it's just very tactically inclined, and Guts is like, this is definitely new to me.
Yeah, and this shows that Griffith is also a very talented strategist. Mm-hmm. Not in the levels of, say, Aizen from Bleach or anything. I don't think anyone's going to top that dude.
He planned the entire story.
Which we won't get into. Right. We won't get into that.
Back to Griffith.
This shows how tactically inclined Griffith is as a commander and as a fighter. And Guts holds off of them a bit until they get to a clearing where Griffith has a line of cannons ready to let loose.
What I will say before that is something that is solidified throughout this arc is Griffith going to save Guts. Continuously, even though this is their first outing, this is 5 days after they've met. Guts, he gets knocked off his horse in his fight. He kicks someone in the head when he does. It's funny. And he saves.
If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me.
He saves a kid named Rickert in the Band of the Hawk, and he goes off, And when they realize Guts isn't there, a lot of the men are like, well, I guess this is what happens and stuff like that. And then Griffith goes
beelines it.
He goes back for Guts and goes after him, picks him up. They defend him, and Guts asks, "Why would you save me?" And Griffith at this time says, It makes no sense to lose such an excellent soldier."
Yeah, and they get to the line of cannons, and they get blown to Kingdom Come.
Yep,
and the enemies do, not our main characters.
Yeah,
no, the enemies get blown to Kingdom Come,
mm-hmm.
and it's glorious.
Yep,
anything with cannons is glorious.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Guts is now a full member of the Band of the Hawk.
They even throw a party for him,
and Guts is like, "Nope."
Yeah, he goes, well, and these are some of the favorite panels for a lot of people, but he goes off and he just sits on top of
a wall, chilling,
away from everyone else because he doesn't want to be in there.
Oh no, I forgot. There's like a couple year gap.
Not really. No.
This doesn't have the gap. It's until after all this.
Okay,
yeah, it's not.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's not yet. I thought I lost it. No, yeah, Guts has the mentality of we've all been to a party and we're probably that one person that just sits in a corner and chills. And
then it's also in Guts' mentality of he goes mercenary group to mercenary group, and he just lives out his life day to day, fighting to survive to the next morning. And so he doesn't really surround himself with people because of his betrayal with Gambino and stuff like that. So he is always off to the side, and that's something solidified. And this isn't the panel I really want to show, but this is the first showing of that panel. Mm-hmm. Where he's off to the side, sitting with his sword in hand, something very solidified, including after the events with Donovan, he hugs his sword. His sword is his cradle.
Yeah, that's a big thing for his character.
Oh yeah,
it's a big thing for his character. The Band of the Hog instant starts. They force him to hey, come enjoy the party with us because it's about you. You did a good thing, and Pippin, who's the big guy of the group, who unironically is based on Kentaro Miura himself in design and I'm not going to say personality, but in terms of design.
It's almost like his quote-unquote character insert, although Guts still reminisce. Something he said in interviews is, with his friend Koji Mori, who also took the helm for current Berserk, both of them are both Griffith and Guts. He has said himself that he bounces between who is which, between Griffith and Guts with him and Mori. And that's something we see throughout the story, and they'll see as we continue.
Not saying that Koji Mori is a complete dickhead.
No. Well, that's later stuff. But no, it's the sense of the relationship between Guts and Griffith with Mori and Kentaro.
But yeah, Pippin is known as, in design-wise, is based on Kentaro Miura, the late Miura himself.
Which was nice.
Which is kind of neat. Though sad if you know the story and whatnot. And they continue on, and we get another time gap. 3 years? Yeah, another 3-year gap.
It's around that area, but also here's after that party, and he joins them reluctantly. He goes back up, and he early in the morning, and this is also solidified how he slept that night. And it's just him on that same wall with his sword in hand. And this is also where we get a very solidified conversation of Judo and Guts talking about Griffith. And some things that are mentioned are how Griffith at times is very astute and tactical and philosopher type. But he also seems like a child.
Yeah, you see that a lot in his character where he's like switches personalities like on a dime, where he's like the carefree, loving commander or friend to a ruthless tactical genius.
Mm-hmm. And of course we
get a very funny scene with Guts and Griffith.
That is also totally not gay in any sense.
It's like Top Gun.
Yes.
No.
in a way.
No, it's not. The reason why Top Gun's gay is because of the volleyball scene. This is different. That's about it.
Yeah.
This is different.
But it's like a little bathing scene. Griffith is like pouring water on himself and he's straight naked. He asked Guts to go to meet him so they could talk. And it's a very funny scene where
Guts is literally uncomfortable. Is very uncomfortable.
And then Griffith throws water on him, and they get into a little water fight.
Like, bro, all right, you want war? You want a water war? I'll give you a water war.
And it's funny.
And then
we're introduced to one of the biggest MacGuffins ever.
Yeah.
In this series, which you probably saw in the first deluxe volume, but it's one that's around Griffith's neck. And
this one specifically is different.
And this one, and it is, bam.
The Bayolet.
A proper Bayolet.
This one is called The Egg of the King, the Crimson Bayolet.
What was the other one?
The other one is just, it's gray. It's solidified to be gray by Mira and stuff like that. This one is red, hence Crimson Bayolet.
And yeah, Griffith goes about it, and he talks about how he got it from a gypsy when he was a kid, and she said that whoever has this is destined to rule the world, basically.
Yeah.
With sacrificing your blood and flesh and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Which Griffith offhandedly just says, like, in exchange of your flesh and blood, of course.
Mm-hmm. And when
Guts
inspects it,
and he hands it to Guts to, like, inspect it, and its eye opens.
Mm-hmm. And Guts like, oh no.
You. People interpret it different ways, but we can't really get into it now. But people interpret it different ways, and because of how it opened its eye to Guts, but not Griffith, it's a cool little scene. Mm-hmm. The movie, they did change it a bit for after a massive event, but that's cool that they added this here.
Mm-hmm. Added?
That's cool that
it is here.
It is here. My bad. Okay, I watched the movies first.
I know.
Yeah. And Guts gets and Griffith. I wish I could show you the scene, but I can't
because he is little. Nude.
He butt naked.
But and he makes a vow saying
he tells Guts his absolute ambition. I will get my own kingdom, and he tells Guts, "You will fight for my cause because you belong to me,
and I will decide the place where you die."
Yeah,
and that's a big thing, and that's basically the whole motivation of Griffith as a character.
Yeah, and then we get another little funny scene. Something I really always love to hear people talk about within the community is how Berserk is not just pure bleakness. There's a lot of good comedy, not just the comedy's sake for trying to shift the tone, but like actual good, genuine comedy.
Yeah.
And it's Pippin, not Pippin, Rickert, the little boy. Tries to go see Guts and give him a message, and he opens the door and
it knocks Guts into the moat.
And he's just like, "What's the big idea?" and stuff like that.
And then Pippin goes to meet with them, and he accidentally bumps.
No, not accidentally. He does it on purpose.
He bumps Rickert into the moat as well, and it's very funny.
And we also get where the first full step of Guts being in the band, he is in place of leading 10 men at this point in time.
Yeah.
And then we get to the time skip.
And we get a 3 year?
It's another 3 year.
And of course...
They love 3.
Yes.
Guitar Mirror loves his 3s.
And of course, we go to, like I think one of our... No.
That's way later.
Yeah, way later, but this is a good setup. This is a good art.
We get a great battle scene with the Vandalhawk, and they're in the middle of 100-year war.
Yep,
a war that's been around
for 100 years. It's the war between the country of Tudor and the country of Midland, and the Vandalhawk fight on the side of Midland.
Long story short, I won't say anything. And this is just more arbitrary, like a medieval war story beat.
Yeah.
It is more. It becomes more reminiscent to that, and as the story kind of just goes with that, threw it out with Guts becoming a captain.
It kind of helps pace out the overall story.
It's not this. So something Mira has had openly said in interviews was he had seen a lot of the flashback scenes, and he said he always hated those for the fact that they always feel like they jar you out of the story. So instead of doing flashback scenes throughout like the Black Swordsman Guts, what he did instead was give you an entire arc. Not the longest arc, it's like the second or third longest arc in the series currently.
But he gives you instead of giving, like half-assed flashbacks sprinkled within the story, he decides to devote an entire arc based on the childhood and backstory and the leading up to the current stuff.
Yep.
So it fleshes it all out. You don't need backstory. You don't need flashbacks. It's all there. You don't need anything else. Mm-hmm. You know the motivation. You know the characters. There's no need for flashbacks. But even then, at times, stories do that, and they continuously use flashbacks regardless of using a backstory arc.
Yep.
And it kind of jars you out of even more like, I already saw this.
I don't need to see it again. Unless it's like something really important that should be brought up again. But we're not going to get into that because that's just not poor story writing because everyone has their own sense. But it's not the best. And that's why Miura didn't do that. He gave us an entire arc. Later on, he gives us a couple of flashbacks, quote unquote, but they aren't the sense of a flashback that everyone's used to, where it's like in the middle of a fight scene and stuff like that.
But we won't get into that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is 3 years later. Guts is promoted to captain of his own raiders.
Yep, he is the captain of the Band of the Hawks Raiders, is what it is.
And raiders are they're like the main charging in force, I believe.
They're the ones that they're kind of your vanguard, essentially.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Mm-hmm. And in more art, and we get good story beats with a lot of great double page art. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great double page panels in the series.
Oh yeah, there's just a lot of really good panels in general throughout the series, and it's just another appreciation for Miura.
Yeah.
And I it's hard to say that he is unappreciated because he is very appreciated in what he did, but also I'm not going to get into how much time he did spend, but in the first few years leading up to the Millennium Falcon arc, he put so much time into it that he would get about 4 hours of sleep at night, and at times 9 hours straight of just doing Berserk.
Of work. And that's dedication and insanity at its finest.
Nope.
Not saying he's insane. I'm not insulting you. Please, Berserk fan base, please don't attack me. I always get scared at fan bases when I say something wrong.
Berserk is also one of the more chill ones.
You don't see what I see. Kidding.
Now,
we get introduced to the... jokes aside, we get introduced to a major character in this arc, the King of Midland, who full on supports the Band of the Hawk, because the Band of the Hawk is the first group to actually make strides to their victory after 100 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
What the hell, guys?
It's because they're led by Griffith. And they've got Guts on their side.
Yeah, true.
So it takes 100 years for her to. Okay.
All right. Besides the point.
I guess because World War II took about 6 years to finish.
Yep.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Well, there were a lot of ancient wars.
There was a lot of stuff.
All right. Aside from that, of course, the king is very impressed with the Band of the Hawk's efforts
and their exemplary performance, especially with Griffith's tactical mind. It's mainly the Band of the Hawk that really braves Guts because he's their captain. He's doing very well.
But a lot of people on the side do not praise Guts because they think he's scary and they think Griffith is like an angel. And some people even say that some women actually say he's prettier than I am, and I'm a woman.
Yeah. That I don't know if that's a roast or a compliment to themselves.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's an insult to themselves or a compliment to Grit. I don't know.
It's both. It's both.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
And as the I don't want to get too much into just like every specific battle because yes, the battles are different, but they kind of just overall just support the main story. Let's just say that Band of Hog gets a lot of good victories. They get a lot of victories throughout. The main important thing is that Guts in this particular battle did not go with his team. He charged the enemy straight out by himself and won.
And there's a reason why.
There are reasons, but that's a little bit later on.
But yeah, he basically beelines across the field and he wins. Name a fighter that does that.
Well, there's a couple in anime, but that's because anime's BS.
Yeah, let's just agree with that.
But like done it in a way that makes sense is basically what Trent's saying.
All right, now.
Yeah, you're not like Madara facing off the whole Ninja Alliance one-man army style, or Aizen going against the Gote 13 and winning
because it's Aizen.
I know. Or
that's not the point.
We won't get into it, but Casca still has animosity towards Guts. We'll get into that real quick. And because Guts did not go with his team, he had a job and he was supposed to support her crew flanking the enemy, but Guts disobeyed. He beelined it straight through, bulldozing everybody. And because Guts cares about his crew, he decided to be reckless to make sure no one got hurt.
His men.
Yeah, he would rather. This is something very solidified, especially in later arcs for Guts. He would rather himself be hurt than the people around him he cares about.
Yeah,
which is admirable, but also stupid.
And of course, Casca does scold him for it.
Oh yeah, heavily, because it is still very not a great thing to do.
Yeah, as noble as it is a severe lack of trust with your team because you come up with a good strategy as well as with yourself as a captain. You leave your men kind of in the dust. Yeah. And yes, as noble it is a right to scold him for it.
Oh yeah, it is.
And it's revealed that Guts does this kind of constantly as someone that's part of the band. He beelines it against the enemies by himself quite a lot. Which gives him the reputation of being a hot-headed guy that just charges in.
Yep.
Even though he's not really hot-headed in this instance, he's just doing his job, and he cares about his people.
Yep.
And Casca, berates him even more, calling him a mad dog, that he doesn't care. Then Guts,
and that he hasn't changed in the past 3 years.
And he reacts by saying that say it again. Say it again.
Say that one more time.
And then Griffith, separates them like, hey, that's enough, guys. And and Guts says to Griffith that I am not the same as I used to be back then.
I think about them.
And Griffith's like, okay.
Yeah, understandable.
And he they get a little like nostalgia trip here and there. Because, 3 years have passed since, his dislocation of his shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not gonna let you live that down, Guts. I'm kidding. And they get a little nostalgia trip, and then Griffith is then knighted by the king.
Yep.
With a lot of noblemen not liking this because Griffith is common born, and because how hierarchy works and society works back in the medieval days, this is, I think, a very accurate representation of that, where noblemen are mainly knighted, not commoners. But because of Griffith's exemplary performance on the battlefield as a tactician, and being humble, as modest and humble as he is,
and tremendous service to the king.
Yeah, being loyal to the king, he is knighted. With everyone's basically I think it's just Griffith that's knighted, or did.
Well, they all end up getting more higher titles themselves, but Griffith is the only one at this time
to be knighted.
Yeah,
by the king.
Yeah,
and everyone, a lot of people, and the Band of the Hawk are trying to make sure they don't look like hillbilly idiots.
Yeah.
And Guts is not anywhere near them because he's outside training with his sword with weights on it. Because he needs
with one hand.
Because he needs to make it heavier.
Because he needs to become stronger.
Yeah. And that while he's doing that, Griffith is celebrating like, yay, I'm part of it.
I'll be right back.
Continuing on, we get to probably one of my favorite chapters of this, couple chapters of this volume, which is called Nosferatu Zod. And we get introduced. Judo talks about a rumor that there's this immortal warrior who's more than like 200, 300 years old, and that every time he died, he's just somehow back. And a master swordsman named Nosferatu, named Zod. And Nosferatu means the immortal.
Yep, and that he had joined the enemy side,
and that's why he's called Zod.
And honestly, one of my favorite antagonists in Berserk.
And so it's revealed that Gut, I almost said Berserk, right? That Guts went. There was at least 50 men went inside a castle dungeon thingy, and none of them came out. And Guts is told by one of his men, like, we should wait for reinforcements to do this. And Guts utterly refuses, because imagine how, like, not just humiliating, but also, like, the loss of even more men if that's the case. So he decides to go by himself.
After seeing one of his men come back out very, very brutally.
And mangled.
Yeah. Mangled and dies.
And dies in his arms. And Guts, with this resolve, goes in by himself. And he is treated with a horrific scene.
That we cannot show.
Yeah, this
because YouTube will murder us.
And like, yes. Yeah, and this is an awesome shot. But it's an awesome drawing, but we can't show it. We apologize. We pity you guys because you don't get to see the awesomeness of this. But
we can describe it. Guts walks in after seeing a lot of his men, and not just his men, but other just men in general, splattered all over the place, dead. And then he is greeted with seeing Zod,
who's this beast of a man, no clothing. Obviously censored junk, or if he has any, I don't know if he does. Mm-hmm. This beast of a man with a body, impaled by a sword. Yep. Just standing there menacingly.
Yeah.
Cute SpongeBob meme.
Yep. And then Guts charges in after seeing his men being, very brutally massacred.
Real quick. And we Guts retaliates quite violently.
Yeah.
Violently in the sense, he's seeing all his men dead. He sees the guy responsible, and he's like, okay, you want the fade? We'll get it. And it's shown throughout this fight that Guts is absolutely outmatched by this monster of a sword fighter. He doesn't even look human. Yeah, we can at least show this one.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
here we go.
He is literally a monster.
This beast of a being, and challenges Guts to a sword fight. Classic, and Guts is just shaking at this guy, at this thing. Not a guy, a thing. He's like shaking because of how monstrous this is. And Zod is like, he's either taunting him or complimenting him. He does both. Because Guts, when he first attacks, Zod attacks back, and Guts is able to block successfully, but also because of how powerful Zod is. Mm-hmm. And Zod says, "You parried that strike well, boy." And of course, which led to a God of War meme joke.
Yeah.
They get into a fight. It's mainly just Guts trying to not get cleaved in half by this monster.
And you can imagine the amount of
force and strength this guy has.
This man's a beast.
Okay.
And Guts is trying everything he can not to die.
Nope.
And it's like this whole revelation, like that there's no such, this can't exist. He's beyond human. Mm-hmm. And he notices that his sword is not broken yet. And Guts thinks about something very tactically, and he knows that he cannot just play defense against something this powerful. He has to make a gamble. And that means I have to put my strength behind my strike and hopefully break his sword. Mm-hmm. And Zod catches on to this, like, oh, you plan on gambling everything on one strike, and instead of just, playing defense, Zod says, all right, I'll go with it. We'll see what happens.
Let's see if you can do this.
And
you can tell I think he's very impressed with Guts.
Oh yeah, because Guts is the only one that's able to,
only human that in the past 50 years that he says that in the past 50 years no other human has been able to survive my strike, and in the past 50 years no one has been able to take more than one of my strikes.
And because of how impressed he is of Guts, he's like, all right, I accept. Let's see if you have what it takes. And Guts succeeds in shattering Zod's sword and getting a hidden.
Yeah.
And getting a hidden.
And not just one, 2 hits, because he does that first strike and then he revamps and downward strikes.
Oh yeah. You're right. And it is, and he gets a deep wound, and Zod is very impressed. He's
happy.
He's excited even.
Yep.
That he's the first person in 200 years to wound him.
No, because of fight with another character that we can't say yet. He is the first human, straight up, just the first human to ever wound him.
Yeah, right here it says here, you're the first human ever to drive a sword this deep into my body.
And of course,
how he retaliates, he's like, in these past 300 years of slaughter, of a human in 300 years.
And of course, he transforms
into his demon form,
which we can show. And it is, the detail in this shot is absolutely immaculate. There is a, there we go.
And that is terrifying in a way.
Imagine you are able to finally get a hit in on this guy,
and then he transforms
into this thing. How are you gonna react?
I'm gonna run and hope I don't die.
So as villain, I'm just going the other way.
I'm praying my life because I'm not escaping. I can't escape.
Nope.
And Guts is frozen because he is terrified at this. The guy that's basically the scariest man, a human in this story, is now feeling a fear beyond anything he's felt before in his life. And Zod is he's excited. He's like I haven't had my blood boil in so long.
And he wants more.
And he's like, I'm transformed now. Let's go. You wanted the smoke. Let's get it. And Guts can't do anything to this guy. He took everything he could to get a hit in, and the guy leveled up. It's like it's like an Elden Ring boss where you heal constantly, and then when they heal, it's like, that's not fair.
That's not fair. Why?
you heal like 1,000,000 times, and when you finally get some damage in, they heal, and it's just, why? That's not fair. That's not fair. That shouldn't be a thing. That's not possible. That's not fair.
All right.
That's Guts in his head. That's basically that face alone. It, like, if I could find that, let's show the face real quick that Guts has. This poor man. This poor man.
That's like a meme.
Yeah, meme this. That is the face of a gamer that says that's not fair. You shouldn't heal. That's not fair. But the amount of detail that goes into like the facial expressions is just beautifully done.
And of course he gets a shit kicked, and of course before he's about to die,
because he's about to fatality this dude.
Yep.
Griffith and the cavalry arrive.
Yep.
And like they see this thing and they're like, oh, can we fight this? And Griffith gives them just no,
we keep going. We don't stop.
And they fire like a second volley of crossbow bolts, and Zod is pissed.
Yeah.
He is pissed because they are
interfering in a one-on-one fight.
Even though he's winning, like, no contest.
Yeah.
That's the idea that you are interfering in a one-on-one fight. Mm-hmm. As any warrior is, like, I'm gonna use that example even though I hate it. The Saiyans from Dragon Ball. They hate it when somebody interferes in a one-on-one fight when the fate of the world depends on it, but I'm not going to get into it. because fuck Dragon Ball at this point. And Zod just absolutely massacres a good chunk of the whole crew. And I can't even show this because I don't want you to killing me.
You said that even though you're wearing Dragon Ball.
We don't talk about that.
Okay. Going forward.
Going forward, everyone's dying. Griffith decides to sneak past, get Guts, because, like, you're my homie. I'm going to get you out of here. And
basically just retreat.
And Zod sees this and, like, nah. You're not walking away.
Yeah, your heart is still beating, is what he says.
And you want this. So, second guy comes in. So, you want the smoke too?
Mm-hmm. All right. Bring it.
Like, first of all, understandable on Zod's point of view. That is very, like, in the first 300 years, you actually find a person able to, hurt you, and a bunch of people just show up, and you're like,
and ruin it. You ruined it, and I'm leaving.
You ruined it, and I'm killing all of you.
All right.
And Guts and Griffith instantly teamwork, and they do a pincer maneuver against Zod, which damages him
pretty aggressively too. He loses an arm.
Yeah, and as retaliation, Guts and Griffith are like, all right, we got to get the hell out of here. Zod hits Griffith with his tail into a pillar, and it's a big moment. Like, oh shit, the guy that never gets hit got hit, and it's
two of the guys that never get hit got hit,
and it's a big thing. And Zod's like, all right, I'm just gonna end up killing you guys because I'm tired of this shit.
Well, he's not tired of it. He's saddened by it because this is the first time he's met not just one but two humans who could injure him.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, I'll deal with the pretty boy first.
But before he can kill him,
he notices the bayonet around Griffith's neck, and this visibly has Zod back up. Like he knows what it is, the egg of the king. Like what? How does a guy like this guy? How does a guy like him have a crimson bayonet of the God hand?
I just realized he healed his arm.
Yeah, but just like
he put it back on it.
Yeah, just.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Well, I did. And he chuckles to himself like, oh, so it's that kind of ploy.
Yep.
But we don't know it yet. We don't know what the ploy is. If you know the story, you know it. And he breaks through the ceiling of a dungeon all the way up to the sky.
And gives off one of the best
prophecies to Guts ever. He says, like, if you consider this guy a true friend, take heed these words. When his ambition collapses, death will pay you a visit.
A death you can never escape.
With one of the... every two-page spread is amazing, but one of the best two-page spreads.
Let's see if I can find the other one. The really deep... There it is. Because there's two versions. Let me put the bookmark on that one real quick. There's this shot. Because Zod... Of course he has wings.
Yeah.
Because of course.
He's a demon.
This great shot here. And then... vertically... This more detailed one. I can't decide which one I like better. Not gonna lie. We get past that, and Casca's very upset at Guts for if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have gotten hurt because you can see that Casca has more of a emotional attraction to Griffith. And Guts is, I'm not gonna say mortified, but he's upset the fact that his friend just got his ass whooped
and could have died.
Yeah, because he didn't call for backup. And as they're healing, everyone's visiting Griffith. Everyone's visiting Griffith, including the noblemen, because they want to, get favor. Like, hey, when you heal, can you Give me.
Because he's rising quickly within
the ranks, and
they want to back him because if he rises quickly and becomes someone really high up in the chain, we are in his favor now.
And Guts wants to go see him. There's a line, obviously, as we just said, and this dude pulls the greatest thing ever. He's blocked by two guards, and he
he tells them to get out of his way, and he moves them. He's crutched, by the way. He's still
like,
injured, and he has a crutch. And he knocks both of the guards in armor, out of the way with ease.
It's funny. It's a very funny scene. And then Casa comes in and gives a beautiful right hook. Mm-hmm. And Guts like, what was that for? What's that for?
And then even says that ain't no woman's punch, because Casca is a well-trained mercenary woman.
And not even an hour, like, maybe hours later, I think? No, it was the next day, I think.
Yeah.
It was the next day, Guts is fine. And he's training his sword, he's doing drills, cutting leaves in half, and...
He's thinking about Casca while using his sword.
The fact that it took me a hot second to get what you were saying.
And then Griffith walks in and catches it.
I'm done with you.
What? One of those shows had to be made at some point, alright?
Yeah, alright, fine. Alright. No, we're keeping it. This is funny. Griffith shows up as Guts is doing his drills, and he's like, the fact that you're doing drills,
even though you are more injured than I am,
and I'm still wearing a crutch.
Yep.
What the fuck, man? And Guts just like, I just heal fast, apparently.
Yep.
I'm a tough son of a bitch.
Yep.
That's an understatement, by the way, guys.
Oh, yeah.
That is a
massively understatement.
They get into like a thing like, this is what they do really, what this story does really well, is most of the time, like anime, manga, and some other TV shows, they have a bit of quiet point, and they don't talk about what happened. They just, we're chilling today. No, they actually actively talk about like the thing that thing backed away because it saw the bayonet around your neck, and Griffith's like,
They talk about the devils and gods, and Griffith is like, aren't they one and the same? And
even though they're not, but to whatever you believe. And we get introduced to another character.
Another major character.
Major is kind of an overstatement.
Well, major in what he does to the plot.
Fair.
Yeah.
So the king shows up, does show like to say like, I'm glad you're feeling better, and we meet his younger brother, Julius, who is an absolute prick. Like, this dude is like the epitome of just arrogance and pettiness.
Because he's
Guts doesn't bow down immediately, and the dude's like you there, you're up before the king. How dare you not bow down? I'm like,
and Guts is like, oh my god.
Like,
formalities.
It's like one of those things. Like, you're getting mad over that. You're getting. I get it because formal king stuff, but like you do this like this is like anywhere else in today's standard. Like, you're getting mad over that. It's one of those things that's like just petty. And the king is like, no, it's
fine. Just stand. You're fine.
It's chill. Like, it's good to see that you're doing all right. He's giving great praise to these to Guts and Griffith both. And we get introduced to his daughter, Charlotte.
Who is a very, very major character.
Who is a very major character. At least the Griffith as well. Mainly the Griffith.
Yeah.
Mainly.
Because of his goals.
Mainly.
Alright.
And Charlotte, just brief rundown, she's shown to be very timid. The king even says that, like, I guess I spoiled her because she's my only daughter. And Charlotte is very shy. Is very shy. Doesn't do a whole lot. Barely leaves the palace.
And then the king also says that she has openly admitted that she doesn't like most soldiers and any of those types. And it's like, hey, come on, Charlotte, let's go. She trips. Griffith catches her. Obviously gentlemanly fashion. That's chivalry. You don't. If you see a person tripping, you don't catch him, you're a dick. Unless it's your friends. Then you could be a dick. Yes.
Because I guarantee if I trip, these guys aren't helping me.
And of course, Julius gets pissed
because he laid hands on the princess.
And backhands him.
And Guts is ready to,
Guts is like, bro, you gonna hit my man? How about the sword?
You want to hit my man?
but then Griffith
stops him, and he has like this sneer, conniving, like, "Please pardon my rudeness, your lordship, General Julius." He says the whole title, and he has this just this conniving sneer, just like, you know, he's angry, but he's like,
plans for later.
And they go on their way.
And Charlotte shows like visible attraction, at least a passing crush on Griffith because he's very beautiful, so on and so forth.
And, you know, gentlemanly, like, and we get introduced to a major character that was not in the movies or the '97 anime. I think.
He was. Both him and the Queen are.
Never mind. Ignore me, because I never really watched the '97 anime. I saw
than some scenes.
A scene, and I saw the entirety of the last episode.
Eclipse.
And of course, we're introduced to Minister Foss.
Foss. It depends on how you say it. And I made a joke saying that he's basically Lord Varys from Game of Thrones.
Even though technically Lord Varys would be based on Foss.
Can we not? Can we not?
Berserk is better than ever.
What? All right. One thing I did like about Julius and the other characters, at least we understand that he's a prig, but we understand why.
It's within the times of why it's under quote unquote understandable, because back in medieval times, if you weren't highborn, you were ridiculed, you were stepped on, because
quite literally.
Yeah, quite literally, because you're not of a certain bloodline, and that just happened all the time. And whenever someone who is of commonborn infiltrates your sacred realm and your own mind,
your circle of trust,
it messes with you, because you're like, he's not supposed to be here.
And of course, if we were royalty at that time, we would feel the same.
Maybe it depends.
It depends on how you're raised. It doesn't matter the time. It depends on how you're raised. Yeah. But we get introduced to Foss, who is this minister who's a very conniving and scheming person. He's very intelligent. He gives Julius the idea that there is an annual hunting trip, and it's not. And
usually Julius and his White
Dragon Knights,
are
the security
for that event, but upon the king's command himself, wants it to be the Band of the Hawk, which makes Julius like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, and I was reading this, I was like telling myself, like, dude, you've done this like so many times. Why not take an L with grace? I get it, but I'm like, dude, take it, like, don't be a sore loser. Just take an L with grace. And
so we'll get to that later.
We haven't even read it yet. But that aside, Foss offhandedly says that, you know, because it's a hunting season, it is very dangerous. It could include a stray arrow hitting somebody laced with poison. Mm-hmm. Offhandedly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this gives Julius like the idea, like,
and not just a stray arrow, but a stray arrow well covered in poison.
Yeah, and
of course,
Julius at first is like, wait, what?
And then he's like, you couldn't possibly mean
a stray arrow, General. And Julius is ecstatic because, you know, he hates Griffith. Mm-hmm. He hates Griffith, and a stray arrow would be perfect in a hunting place to make an assassination attempt.
And honestly, it's actually a very genius move.
It is. It doesn't later things, but then we get to another scene where Guts is playing with his sword.
It's not gonna land the second time.
I know, but I still had to, because he's literally holding it straight up in the air with both of his hands.
Now you made it funny. And Guts goes through like an inner monologue. No, not inner monologue. He's like he's reflecting based on what Griffith says and his own motivation. Mm-hmm. And Guts comes to the conclusion that I will fight for Griffith's cause. I'm sorry, I did not mean to smack you. And I will fight for his sake. And then we get to the hunting trip, and they're hunting foxes, boars, whatever we'll come across. King is saying that I can't
I wish I could join, but
I'm too with my age, I'm not gonna make it 10 feet.
Nope. I'm just gonna slow everyone down.
And Guts, we get and Guts is part of the chasing the.
No, not the chase. They're the guard. They're not meant to chase after.
And Guts scares the animal no, go that way. Back.
Go leave.
Leave before you get stepped on. And Guts is like, man, I wish I could just fight somebody. God, because he hates this quiet stuff. Because most of his life,
used to fighting,
and everyone's like,
yeah,
take a dub with grace.
Yeah, he even says it feels more natural to me when I'm swinging this around when he puts his pinky on his sword.
Yeah, and of course,
it's cool how body language is, where most of the time when they say I'd rather swing this around, they full on grip the damn thing.
But he just lightly grips it with his pinky.
He points it it's more natural when I swing this around, because normal time when you're in a conversation you just lightly point or do anything. You don't straight up grip it on behind. Just I'd rather swing this thing around.
Unless you want to make it a message type of thing. But no, he just says it it's everyday thing for him.
Yeah, because
and of course Corkus isn't happy.
Yeah, Corkus isn't happy, saying we finally get the chance to be part of something bigger than what we usually do. So take it with grace,
especially because we earned it, type of thing.
And this is where I say yeah, you guys are commoners and you earned this.
Yeah.
And
I understand his anger.
And these noblemen don't respect that. They've worked their asses off to earn this spot, and they get treated like shit for it. Which is how probably a lot of workplaces are nowadays. And and Charlotte's chilling with Griffith, and it's revealed that she doesn't like hunting or war in general. She doesn't like violence. She's a very passive person. And because Griffith is kind of a chill dude, he teaches her how to play the leaf in a way. When you lightly put a leaf to your mouth and
it's a whistle type of sound.
Yeah, and he teaches her how to do it, and it's funny how she struggles to do it at first, and then she gets the hang of it. Then a boar startles her horse, and she gets beelined
because of her horse, because she can't control it, because she is not used to riding horse.
And Griffith goes after her because he's right there. It'd be kind of a dick move to be like, she's fine.
And of course,
this is where
the assassin.
The plan comes.
Happens because he's by himself with Charlotte, and Griffith and Charlotte end up bonding a lot more. In a more platonic kind of way, with Charlotte kind of being more into the.
I like you.
I like you.
You're cool.
Exactly.
And of course, but before.
And while they're let's head back because everyone's gonna get worried. He turns around and he gets hit dead on with the arrow
from a crossbow too.
The crossbow, and it's just a big thing. Guts and his crew just. Beeline it. They're like, all right, full perimeter, protect the president style, and
kill circle.
Yeah, kill circle.
And then this is where we also see a stark difference between Guts and Griffith. Griffith is very soft and caring of the princess, and Guts just wondering what happened to Griffith, grabs her and shakes her, and it scares Charlotte, and it's hurting her at the same time.
And it's a big thing, and it's shown that Griffith's not in any danger. He's fine
because
the bayonet blocks the arrow dipped in very potent poison, and you barely get in. The bayonet has a little scratch on it. I made a joke the bayonet screaming its ass off because it gets stabbed by an arrow. It's why? Why am I taking the blunt of the damage when you're supposed to be?
And then everyone starts saying, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" And it's it's good luck charm. But then
Guts is because of Zod's whole thing, it's
the devil's, especially because of how the bayonet looks and stuff. It's the devil's luck.
It's more like the devil's luck than anything. Everyone's relieved that, oh, thank God.
And Koska is still visibly worried, saying that he should take off his armor just in case he has any other wounds, especially because it's poison, so a little nick is enough to put that poison in.
And little nick is, a death sentence in these times.
Just look at Murasame.
Yeah, and everyone's worried, and he's fine. Like he's like, nah, it's fine. It didn't even touch me. It hit my bayonet. Look, dead center.
Yep.
Again, the bayonet's probably like screaming in turn, like, why you did?
And Charlotte's visibly upset because she feels it's her fault because she couldn't handle her horse.
And then everyone's like chill. Everyone's like, all right, come on, let's sit back.
Let's see if we can find what happened.
And of course, Griffith
notices Julius and his crew very suspiciously looking back at them, and Griffith has this like eagle eye look, and he's like, man, this poison's very expensive, and it's revealed that this poison was part of the Baranol, whatever it's called, the Barabal bean.
It's Cabal or whatever.
I remember the Balabal bean.
It's more back, but it's alright.
And of course,
and
Julius
it's hilarious.
is straight up livid.
He's livid that the dude didn't die, and he's livid at the fact that Griffith had this death stare at him.
And he's also livid at the fact that this actually helped Griffith because now he looks like a hero that just saved the princess.
Yeah, imagine failing an assassination so bad that it actually gives more credit to the guy that you're trying to kill.
Yep.
That's funny to me.
And then Julius wonders if Griffith could, because of his look at Julius, if Griffith could know that he's the one that issued it. And then he tries to convince himself, no, he couldn't, because there were other highborns there, and etc. etc.
But Griffith, he knows.
Yeah, he
of
knew.
course he knows.
Because Griffith is actually, he's far more intelligent than he lets on. And Griffith's he calls Guts, and he's like, I'll be with you in a moment. And he's reading a shit ton of books, one of which is an adult one, a cooking one. And he's like, I'm chilling here.
And then this is where we see a little bit of his childlike tendencies again. He shows Guts the more adult book, and he's like, look at this.
Want to borrow it? And Guts is like,
no.
And then
why?
Then it shifts
to like, I'd like you to kill a man for me.
Wow, that changed.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I will say that this is where Guts goes through an assassination attempt, and one thing that I liked about the movies, like here we can show at least this little, there we go, where Guts in his little hood and cloak. If you notice that he has his normal sword. What I liked about the Golden Age movies is that they changed the sword because to make it look like it could have been anyone. Because that's usually the smart thing to do.
Because Guts is very known by a sword because it is such a massive sword held by, at this point, an 18-year-old.
And the movies changed it to more of a broadsword, longsword style thing, so they couldn't instantly recognize him. I actually really liked that change because it was just smart. It makes sense. And the Calabal bean. Yeah. Calabal bean. I busted out laughing when I read that because that's just such a weird name for a poison. Calabal bean.
And of course we get some more dialogue.
Guts and Griffith come up with the plan that like it's Julius. Kill him, please. Mm-hmm. And Griffith's like, I don't want to ask you this. Can I count on you? And Guts is like, man, what you worrying about? Just order me to, man.
Just order me to do it like always.
Like, I got you.
Yeah.
And Guts is staking it out. And he sees Julius training his son quite brutally to be the leader of the White Dragon Knights. And so he could marry Princess Charlotte.
Because in this time, incest wasn't opposed to.
They're more like what, cousins at this point?
Yeah.
It's morally they're not gonna get into it, but he's training him, and an old man, I think the old minister, priest, or whatever, that the caregiver, I should say, is like, you should probably hold back a bit, and Julius at first is like, he's justifying like he needs to be a hardened soldier, warrior, to lead my knights. Because once, like, I become the throne, yada, yada. And the caregiver tells the son, Adonis, that don't hate your father. He's doing what he can.
Because he is recently not widowed because that's more of a woman.
Widower.
But yeah, his wife died.
And he's doing the best he can as a father. And Julius is like, yeah, okay. I guess I'm taking things a little too far with the boy because of everything happening.
Yeah.
And Guts looks at the kid and he sees himself training with Gambino. It's not dark. It's a reflection of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a neat. And he hesitates for a second. He's like, I can't be careless at a time like this.
And something I always love is whenever you see Guts being insecure, at least in the Golden Age, he always goes to put his fingers and hand over his scar. Always. You even notice it back here when he's talking to Judo. Whenever they're talking about the future and stuff, he always puts it over his nose where the scar is.
And it's a neat little detail, and it's cool that we were able to catch on that. Oh yeah, he sees himself in Adonis as a kid growing up with a strict father figure. Mm-hmm. And Julius, we see that we still hate him for trying to assassinate a guy that did literally nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. But we see like his more human side, like with his son, like, yeah, I guess I've been taking things taking my frustrations too far. And the character's like, I earnestly hope you don't do anything unreasonable. And it's just like it's a cool little humanization fact.
Also, I would like to see more of Adonis.
But
oh shit.
But Julius is still very
frustrated about
that Griffith, and it's just door opens, Guts comes out, just ready to do the deed, and he instantly takes him out because Julius tries to go for a sword, and Guts instantly wins.
Yep, he cuts him down with one swing.
Yeah, but before he dies, he's like, "I know you. You're Griffith's right hand man." Mm-hmm. And the door opens again. And the main door opens, and Guts is like, "Oh no, I've been seen by a guard."
Which is another direct order from Griffith: "Do not be seen." Which means if someone sees you, you kill that person. And
he takes out that person. It's revealed to be Adonis, the young son. And the kid
Guts.
And this kid dies pretty slowly. Not too slow, like he dies like in a few panels. But it's like it's so mortifying to Guts, and the kid like holds out his hand and like Guts actually grips it because he feels so bad and he passes. And Guts
he's visibly shaken by this.
I'll probably cover this one up at least.
Of course.
Right. Just look at this one.
Yeah, but you can see how shaken he is.
Like that mortifies him, and everyone's like,
it's also reminiscent to when he killed the little girl in the Black Swordsman arc, and from the carriage with the priest father.
And if you notice that when he saved Teresa, she cut herself because he gripped onto the sword. You can tell that Guts does not like hurting children
because when he was a child, he was harmed in so many different ways. So he does not. One thing that's solidified is he does not want to become Gambino. He admired Gambino in a sense, in a twisted way, but he does not want to become Gambino.
And everyone sees that, the kid is dead. Lord Master Adonis has been murdered. Guts has to escape. He fights his way out. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh man,
we need to kill him because
Julius and the kid is gone. It's just it's just very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Guts successfully escapes
after he takes an arrow to the arm, not to the knee.
Not to the knee, but he takes an arrow to the arm and he successfully escapes. And he gets a small nightmare section where he sees Gambino.
Zod.
Yeah, Nosferatu Zod. He sees him. He's a young kid again with Gambino. He sees Zod kill both of them, and the nightmare ends with Guts seeing Zod as himself,
seeing himself as the monster
because of what he did.
Yep.
And Guts is just dead inside. He's walking back.
Mm-hmm.
in like not broad daylight, like broad nightlight.
Yeah, no, it's nighttime.
Everyone's like, well, I wonder where Guts is. And they see him. He walks in. He's covered in like sewage and muck.
He
and
is
he's
dead in the eyes.
Dead in the eyes.
He looks just dead. He has the 1,000-yard stare, but not in the way of like, oh my god. In the way of like, he just doesn't look like there's soul behind his eyes in these moments.
And like Casca's like, oh, like Griffith,
because
Guts is like, where's Griffith? Casca's like, well, Griffith's with the dinner with the princess, and she notices how
offset he is because he's covered in like she even says, did you fall on a moat or something because of the way he looks.
And she sees that he has an arrow wound, and we get to probably one of the biggest monologues in the series.
One of them for sure.
One of the more important ones of Griffith's character. Mm-hmm. And Guts is about to say hi to Griffith, like tell Griffith like, hey, the deed is done, but Casca stops him.
Well, before that,
Griffith and Charlotte are talking, and they end up bonding a lot more because of how Griffith acts. Mm-hmm. He acts like a philosopher, but he seems like a
child,
like
while also being a knight.
It's all weird. He's like a very different.
He's an enigma.
Yeah, and Casca stops Guts from interrupting, and she tears a bit of her shirt to cover the arrow wound on his arm. Mm-hmm. My bad.
And of course we get more dialogue with Griffith and
Griffith and Charlotte bond more, and he talks about how
he brings up something that the princess had said before. Why is it that men enjoy little more than shedding blood?
And Griffith explains that what they like, that what a man needs is a dream,
and what a man must protect, and why he fights with bloodshed and stuff is to protect that thing.
And it's a dream. And he goes on saying that dreams are basically what drive men to do what they do.
Yeah.
And like to live life like a martyr to the god named Dream. Guts and Casca just listen silently, and to be.
And then he says something that very, very counteracts with who Guts is as a person. He says, ultimately to be born and then simply live for no other reason I can. Live for no other reason I can't abide such a lifestyle, which is exactly how Guts has lived his life. He hasn't lived it for a dream. He has lived day by day to just survive.
And that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. And Charlotte is, she's flabbergasted that he speaks like such a, some of the best philosophers out there. And she says, like, I imagine all your friends have come far attracted by your charm. And Griffith gives if you're diehard friends, you know what the speech is. What a friend is. And he says that they are not friends, they are excellent troops. What I consider a friend is somebody who has their dream and will do anything to obtain and protect that dream, even if it means that I myself become his enemy. Mm-hmm. What I consider a friend is one I consider my equal. Mm-hmm. And this offsets Guts to the absolute core of his being.
Because after what he just did, after what he just went through, he was just ordered, because he has killed lots of people before. In quote unquote in the name of Griffith, but in this case he literally just killed a person who was on his side, quote unquote, just because Griffith asked him to, and ended up killing a kid who was the son of the Count.
And it's just a big thing. And it really shows the symbolism here with how far away they are, and mentally and in status,
and also their status quo of Griffith is above Guts,
and he's not an equal. He's not a friend, and that's a big thing. That's a changing point in Griff and Guts's career in his life, and he leaves. Guts leaves because, well, I've heard enough.
Well, he isn't leaving yet. It's because he's still waiting to talk to him.
Griffith continues talking, and then they're interrupted by one of the handmaidens saying that Julius is dead, and Prince Adonis and Master Adonis is also murdered. And Griffith, like I will show this actually. Griffith, after they say that, Griffith has this evil look. Look at this man. He looks evil. Because he's smiling even though he heard that a kid died.
And it's not to say... So what it is that Griffith does not technically care for the fact that it's for his goal. It's for his dream.
And Adonis would have probably been a problem for him later on in life.
So, for what Guts did...
I just evened it out.
It made it go by faster because Adonis would have been a problem because he is a next heir type of person. So, he would have had to have killed him at some point anyway. So, killing him now? Cool. Great. Now my plan is a lot simpler.
And after that, because it's a big thing,
and that's when Guts walks away.
And maybe like the next day, Griffith is then promoted to like main vanguard of the army because the White Dragons have no leadership. They have no organization now. And Faust stops him. Like they get into a little philosophical talk about.
Not philosophical.
No, not philosophical.
Yeah, it's just about what happened.
Yeah, and they just talk about the whole stuff happening
of the assassination.
And Faust is trying very hard to,
coax Griffith to have a reaction.
And Faust is like, I guess this guy did do it. But any questions like didn't do it. Any questions like does he know that I was part of his assassination attempt or anything? He's like, of course not.
Because there's no proof, no evidence.
And not to him. And then he sees Griffith across the hall. Like, and I'll show this too, like real quick.
He's giving the same death stare he gave
look
Julius.
At that. Yeah, that is a great. First of all, that's a great attention to detail. But also, look how evil that looks. That looks murderous as hell. And Faust is visibly shaken by this. Like, oh
my, does he know?
Which basically, if you get that look, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah,
you're pretty much fucked. And Charlotte and Griffith have a little nice moment again. Charlotte gives a gift to Griffith, which is a little magnet called a lodestone, which is naturally occurring magnet.
Yep.
And she has two of them. She has a man one and a woman one. She gives the woman one, gives Griffith the man one, and like they're destined to meet each other again. And I'd like you to have this. Griffith says, "No, I can't take it."
In a suave line, no, not gonna lie.
In a suave line, he's like, "Therefore, once I return from this campaign, I swear I will give this back to you." Wow. This man twisted it. Like, silver tongue, you, man.
You son of a bitch.
You silver fox.
And of course, Casca arrives.
And like...
Well, no, Casca was already there.
Yeah, and...
Because she was going to try and talk to Griffith.
And Charlotte says to Casca, like, can you protect them? And Casca's like, with my life. I mean, classic stuff, that type of dialogue. We get introduced to the queen now, who is a bitch.
Yes.
I don't need to say anything more than that.
No, she is a bitch.
Basically saying you shouldn't be talking to this guy. He's not highborn. He's not your level. And Charlotte like defends him like.
Who
tries to at least.
Yeah. Who are you to decide who I can give gifts to and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's one of those things. And we get another, not a battle scene, but they move out to the next battlefield for this campaign. Guts is visibly shaken,
fucking dead inside.
Because who I consider a friend is one who's my equal. They repeat that line. It's just, I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, because after all he did, and he's not even, quote unquote, he's not even considered a friend.
And we get to a battle with the. All right, I'm gonna find the name.
Oh God!
I'm gonna find the name. Give me a second. Here we go. I think. But okay, before they start, Casca is visibly like not sick looking, but she's not herself. And Judo like notices like, "You okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." It's revealed that because of this condition, like she has a fever, whatnot. This affects her fighting abilities.
Yes.
They're in a battle against the. I swear this is not me. This is how they said it. They are against the Blue Whale Ultra Heavy Armored Fierce Assault Annihilation Night Corps.
Good
what
God.
the hell, Miura?
It's because it's a Dawn.
It's why. Though they get into that group. I am not saying it again.
The Blue Whale Corps.
Yeah, thank you. Because that is a long-ass name. And I busted out laughing when I saw this in the movie, and as well as I'm seeing it here. I'm just like, why? Mm-hmm. Why, Mira, why did you make this such a long-ass name? And Casca is immediately overwhelmed.
But she is still holding her own because she's still putting it on the defensive. It's not like she's getting like stabbed through multiple times. She is still defending. She just can't attack.
Yeah, and Don's if you want, I can let you live if you be our army's harlot, which is
you know what that means.
Yeah, if you know what it means, you know what it means. And Casca's defiant to the end.
She's like, "Go to hell, dog."
Like, how you said that? Go to hell, dog. Guts intervenes. Basically says like, "This isn't you," and he gets into a fight with him. He gets into a fight with Adon, saying like, "I'm in a pretty bad mood right now." So
and the movie the movie does this, and it's a really cool. I'm not gonna show that.
Yeah.
It's a really cool scene. Not the movie, in the '97 show. Excuse me. When Guts gets into the fight, not the fight with the Dawn, he starts saying, "Come on, fight me, so that way I can make the voices stop in my head," type of thing. But here is where this is the part where Mark Terison got that from, saying, "Anyone, come on, anyone will do. I just feel like swinging this with all my might until I cannot think about anything else," because he's still conflicted on what he just learned from Griffith.
And he's like, "All right, man, let's go." And Adon, the flamboyant man he is,
and his stupid freaking names, the ultimate spear technique by the Cobalt Wits family for 140 years.
Hey.
The Guns Senpu.
Ganzon Senpu, which translates to rock cutting whirlwind. Why not just say that? Because you got to make it sound cool.
Yes.
And Guts says, "Man, fuck you." No, this big attack that was supposed to do something. Guts parries, slices half his face off.
Yep, with ease. With ease.
Yeah, like, fuck your bullshit.
And then Gus is like, "Guns and Senpu." So what?
Literally. And Adon's men are like,
he just beat him with 2 swings.
And Casca, in the midst of this, faints.
And Guts goes to grab her because, he doesn't want her to die.
Because they're over a cliff. Adon shoots a crossbow, hits Guts in the rib area, or whatever that area is, and they fall.
They fall down the cliff.
Quite a bit.
Into a river,
surprisingly. And Guts is like, it's pretty funny, like, "I'm never doing that again, swimming with my armor on."
Yeah.
Which is very fair. You don't want to swim with armor. It's not smart.
And Casca's unconscious. He does mouth-to-mouth breathing. And like, literally pulls out the arrow, like, "Oh, God.
This sucks!"
And it's raining. It's bad. She has a fever. You don't want to be out in the cold.
And she has wet clothes because of being in the river.
And he takes her to a cave. And Griffith and everyone's like, "Oh, shite."
And then we get an interesting scene where Griffith's band of the Hawks are telling him we should send a search party because it's Guts and Casca. And then one of the other knights from Midland is like, "Are you really going to send valuable knights after them instead of winning this battle?" And saying, "They're the captain of your raiders and your female commander. They'll be fine, right? If they'll live."
Yeah, it's just like, And Guts sees that she's still not breaking her fever. And he doesn't know what to do yet.
And so he's like, "There's just no other way."
Takes off her clothes to like get her away from like the cold, wet clothes.
To let her
sees her bleeding. And he's like, "Hey, is there a wound?" And it's revealed that she was having her period.
Mm-hmm. And Gus is throughout the time. He's like, "Oh, this is why a woman shouldn't be in battle," because that's something Adon was saying too. A woman shouldn't fight and stuff like that because it's a man's sacred battlefield. And Guts is not saying the same thing, but he's like, you have a fever, you get too emotional. This is why women shouldn't be on the battlefield.
It's mainly because he never really interacted with female warriors.
Yeah. And then that's when he noticed, did the idiot get wounded? And it's like, and when he notices where the blood's come from. So that's it. Must be rough being a woman. And then we get this scene we can show. This is one of my favorite panels in the entire series. It's Guts holding a sword, of course, and then holding Casca. Well, making sure she is protected and staying awake so if anyone shows up. Because he can't build a fire. Because if he builds a fire, they notice that they had fallen down the cliff. They'll find them and kill them. So he keeps her warm himself because he takes off his shirt, he sells his pants and stuff on, and he cradles her to warm her up because
can't have wet clothes.
Not just wet clothes, but it's solidified that if you want to really get warm, you use your own body heat with another person.
After that scene, she wakes up, feeling a little better, and she just starts throwing shit at him. Because Guts is like, "All right, thank God you're awake. Yeah, don't worry.
I know you're naked, but what else could I do
to make sure you don't die?
And
she throws a knife at him and nearly hits him in the head.
And he's like, "Bro, what the?"
What constituted such aggression?
And he says, instead of one word of thanks, you hurl a knife at me. If you weren't a woman, I'd knock your jaw right out of joint for that.
And Casca is very upset about that comment.
Emotional.
And she says, I wasn't born a woman because I wanted to be.
And it's like, oh shit. Now Guts is like, now
she's crying. God.
And now I feel like an asshole. And she tries to slug him, and stops it, and they get into it's just a whole God.
And then she faints again.
It gives her his shirt, and that's
already warmed up and not wet.
And she tells her backstory. How she was the youngest child of a farmer who had 6 children. He sold her because less mouths to feed, and it was for a nobleman.
It's not like she had a whole lot to offer because she wasn't very good at attending to the fields and stuff like that. So he sold her for the fact that what else could they do? The town they lived in already didn't have capability to grow a whole lot of food, and so they were always having people die in the winter, so just less mouths to feed. So
an old man bought her, and on the way to the city, he stops and tries to
sexually assault her,
and before being saved by a young Griffith, very young.
Yes, this is probably when he's about 13, I'd say,
and he has full armor on a horse and everything, shining armor straight up. Cuts the dude's ear off. Pretty precise thing, and he gives her a sword, and Casca is just gushing over to Guts what it was like meeting Griffith for the first time. Tosses her his sword.
And so instead of just outright protecting her and beating this guy and saving her, he gives her a choice. If you have something to protect, take up that sword that he had thrown down towards her.
And she picks it up, impales the guy, though she doesn't know if she did it or if he fell on it.
Yeah.
And it's a whole thing. And Griffith's like, I'll take you with me so you can get new clothes, food, and whatnot.
Gives her a cloak over herself.
And she says, I want to join you.
And the young Corcus, is like, you're a woman, and we don't need women and kids in our crew because you'll just get in the way.
And Griffith said earlier, do as you wish, because Casca asked, what should I do? And Griffith's like, do as you wish. And she's like, let me come with you. And
if you tell me to learn the sword, I will.
And Griffith says, hey, didn't I tell you to do as you wish? Whether or not you come with us is your decision. She makes a decision to
go with them,
to be part of the Band of the Hawk. It's a very powerful scene and we see her characterization, and it's good of why they do that. And after that is
nothing.
And that's
the end of
that's the end
Deluxe
of
Volume 2.
And let's go over
these are so something a lot of people always are like, you should still buy the standard editions for a lot of mangas if they have omnibuses and stuff. One thing that I like that Berserk does is they give you all of the covers of each of the volumes,
and we'll go over it real quick.
And these really beautiful.
Here's the first volume.
Colored.
Here's volume 4.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Yeah, volume 4. Here's volume 5, and here's volume 6. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful, beautiful artwork, very well done drawings. Miura really knows how to draw it, and it's just beautiful to look at. Mm-hmm. So that was Deluxe Volume 2. We are not doing arc to arc because this is a very long ass arc, and that's like 3 books long. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll do
this volume, deluxe volume to deluxe volume.
Yeah, because doing this volume by volume will take way too long.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're still with us in the video as of recording this, thank you for sticking with us. We're talking about this story, real quick, and let's talk just a little bit about it. What I like about this deluxe volume compared to the first one is obviously Guts' backstory and his career as a mercenary with the Band of the Hawk, and seeing Griffith as a human form, all this stuff, Griffith and doing all this stuff. I really like that. I really love medieval styled storytelling compared to like the obvious like dark fantasy or just high fantasy. This is a very it's high fantasy in the medieval sense. It's very Game of Thrones-esque.
It's for a little while it's very grounded, quote unquote grounded in reality, with subverting your own expectations.
Yeah, and it's like very much like Song of Ice and Fire in the early, and Game of Thrones the show in like the early seasons. From at least where we're at.
Yeah.
No, overall this is like it's just as amazing as the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would say that, if not better.
Yeah.
Because we see more of Guts' characterization, we get more emotional moments with that. Pardon me. And we get a lot more calm moments, and that's where this series really shines, is its calm moments
when things slow down,
and the artwork really shows that.
And one that we didn't show earlier that I love is after Guts he runs away from after he had killed Gambino and he gets shot. This is one of the really calming shots from Guts. It's him laying under the stars and the moon, looking up at everything.
The amount of effort and time that must have took.
Miura is a master of his art.
And this is where it really shines. One thing I love a great backstory and watching a character grow. This is another plan I'll do. I'll just mention it real quick. I might do a video essay about what constitutes an Odyssey. Mm-hmm. That will be after I read the Odyssey by Homer, because I can't really read it without that source material. Yeah. But that's probably a plan I have going forward for something other than a review. Yeah. Because I want us to at least branch out, at least content-wise, so we're not just sitting here just reviewing something where we can... And there will be plans of like discussions between us, kind of like a podcast, but not really at the same time, because it's going to be a singular focus rather than podcast, which
multiple subjects.
Yeah, which podcast has no focus and covers an inordinate amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And something that I plan on doing, I might do it here soon, or I might wait till we all finish. They have finished Berserk. But I want to go over what makes a great protagonist and what makes a great antagonist, and what makes great side characters. Probably all in separate videos, maybe in one whole.
Well, it depends on where we are.
Yeah, it depends on where we are.
That's what I'm saying. I want to you want to do the Odyssey thing.
Yeah, and we'll probably figure out how to edit video so it's not just us talking.
Yeah, and we can actually start putting like panels up and stuff like that, so we aren't.
But that's a thing that we'll have to research to and do that and learn how to do it properly.
Have the right resources.
Yeah. So it makes videos more entertaining for you guys, as well as it makes it cool for us to as little projects, because I'm sure it doesn't take as much time.
It can, depending on how big you want to make it.
Yeah, but regardless, that's just a little plan going forward. Talking about this volume, the artwork has gone much better. You can definitely see the quality increase with Miura's artwork, the fight scenes, the character designs. Again, I laughed a couple times because of how funny some of the scenes got.
Yeah.
I was genuinely disturbed by a few things.
Yeah. And I was actually amazed by of how much life it's been given.
Yeah. Miura really knows how to fill in a panel where it's not like kind of dead space around it and it's just like the little character in the middle of it. He knows how to fill in that space, but but without it making it so cluttered, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He knows how to do that well. Like a good landscape shot, like the guts underneath the stars and moon. That is a very good way of how to use that dead space to convey something.
Yeah.
It is a very well done shot panel.
No.
I can't really say too much because there is no voice acting. Obviously, can't get into the technical stuff besides that. But what I can't this landscape shot right here, Miura really knows how to use up good space and give us an idea.
Detail.
Yeah, beautifully crafted.
Like you even see the individual lights in the village up here. Like that takes a lot of detail and skill to do, and this series is just getting better and better as we go along it.
Yeah.
Though I will say I don't want to get burnt out of Berserk because I know people have read it in like 2 weeks, and I applaud you. I applaud you, but if you have nothing going on, like I guess that's good. But I don't want to get burnt out of this. So it's not me. It's not us like kind of just droning on about like, oh, I like it. It's fine. But we've been very planning to do this volume in particular because it was planned for at least the New Year's, but it's way past that, sadly, because of other stuff happening. But here we are, our Berserk Volume 2 review. Verdicts. Grayson, you don't need to say it.
I would
10.
Honestly, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. If we're going volume by volume, I give this one about 9. I give Black Swordsman, because that's the entire Black Swordsman arc. I give that one about an 8.5 because you do see a lot of the edge to it. Because Miura, admittedly to himself and to fans, he didn't know what he was going to do. He left enough room to be able to do what he wanted with the character, but he didn't have everything mapped out. This is where we start to see everything being more mapped out.
Yeah, and it's debated whether or not like how you started and whatnot. So, and for me, I'd probably volume wise, I'd have to give this probably what I gave the first one, which I believe was a 9 out of 10, and this is probably a 9 out of 10. It's not a perfect yet, perfect 10 out of 10, but I am really enjoying Berserk as a whole. I think it's a very well done story. I just don't want to get burnt out of it because even at times I get burnt out from like Lord of the Rings or like Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all that stuff. Yeah. It does get to a point where if you do that constantly, you do kind of get burnt out, and I don't want to get burnt out.
Yeah, especially with such a grandiose and phenomenal story that is Berserk. I mean, for almost anyone you hear talk about Berserk, especially the big YouTubers like the Masked Man, TheAlmightyLoli, the big Berserk YouTubers, I'll say, they have all given it masterpiece status because of just what this story does to a lot of people. A lot of people say it changes their lives.
And we will link TheAlmightyLoli and Masked Man's channels in the description below, so you guys can go check them out
because they are amazing.
Yeah.
They
go through complete like descriptions of.
So if you want more detail than what we give you, please check them out.
Yeah. Or just go read it yourself if you're able to stomach stuff like this, because now we're at a point where there is really brutal things,
but it's more like it's
really cruel things, not brutal, really cruel things. But we're at the point where it's still light-ish.
We are going to be giving a disclaimer, just moving forward with the other volumes. the disclaimer is going to stay the same no matter what.
Yeah.
Because viewer discretion is advised.
Oh yeah. This story is not meant for the faint of heart, for the people that like your baser shonen things.
Yeah.
So I'd have to give this a 9 out. This volume a 9 out of 10. Individually, same. If I gave 10 out of 10 to volume 1, I'm correcting it now. It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Same as this one, and this is and I know this is a very long one. You probably want us to shut up now.
Yeah.
Want to give you guys a big thanks to sticking with us for this long video. Thank you guys. If you made it this far, at least, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And hope to see you guys in the next one. Manga reviews are going to be probably very long, so
especially with Berserk, especially because we're going through it with these ginormous volumes.
So yeah.
I just can't get over it.
Like we said, if you haven't read it, watch it, but just be sure you have the stomach for it.
Yeah. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like. Leave a like if you like this video. Comment below what you think of Berserk and where we are so far, and what you think of it so far. And just give us thoughts and subscribe if you want to see more of this. So that's been it for us, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yep. It's like.